This ESPN podcast is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.
The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the Sports Guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. We are taping this Tuesday afternoon, 2 o'clock, West Coast time. Jason Collins, NBA player.
Yes.
Celtics and Wizards this year. 12-year vet?
12-year vet.
12-year vet.
Yeah, it goes quickly.
What was your last 24 hours like?
Surreal. Overwhelming and humbling. All the support all the support has been incredible. Anytime you get a call from two presidents and, all of my basketball NBA family, my Stanford basketball family, and my Harvard Westlake High School family, the emails, the texts, the calls, and it's like I said, it's humbling.
So you go to bed Sunday night.
I go to bed Sunday night knowing that the story is gonna break in the morning, and I'm not necessarily the best sleeper, anyways. But I woke up at like 5:45 Monday morning because I knew that I had to be at my agent Arn Tellum's house because we wanted to make a lot of phone calls in the morning. And we wanted, it was sort of like a two-man wrecking crew where he's making calls, I'm making calls. And if, he gets stuck on a call, we go on to the next one. And it's just the experience, it's surreal. Yeah.
So like right around, I would say, 8:30 West Coast time in the morning, all of a sudden your BlackBerry must be just vibrating like crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody's
it hasn't stopped. It really hasn't stopped since. And all the calls, all the tweets, it's just everybody's been reaching out. And, some of the comments have just really touched my heart as far as, the support and, people's talking about what kind of great teammate that I am and that it doesn't matter about my sexual orientation. And that's the most important thing for me is that you focus on my NBA career. I've played in this league for over a decade. I've played in this league for 12 years. I have a nice body of work for people to go through and really talk about my work ethic, my professional conduct, and all the hard work that I put into my profession, to my craft, and the kind of person I am, the kind of teammate I am, the kind of locker room, solid veteran experience that I have.
Good guy for the clubhouse.
Yes, of course. And that's my role now.
Yeah.
I was a starter for a long time in this league, started in the NBA Finals. And
you were Dwight Howard stopper?
Yeah. Well, I started out as the Shaq stopper or the Shaq flopper, depending on who, who you ask. But, and then Shaq, Yao Ming, those guys early on in my career, and then became Dwight Howard. And, that's sort of, my role now is to be that solid low post defender and then, help team defender. And then Zaza Pachulia, my teammate in Atlanta, when I talked to him yesterday, he talked about, he learned so much from me in how to guard Dwight Howard. And, and that's my role is, the backup, big man. And, you have to, in order for a team to be successful, everyone on the team has to embrace their role. And, I embrace, my new role as, backup center and, someone that guys can learn from. And that's my job, is to impart my knowledge, wisdom, my love of the game, my work ethic on the younger guys.
Is it, I don't know if this is weird, but, we had a feeling in 2013 some active male athlete was going to come out in a team sport. We just didn't know who it was going to be. And I was in the car yesterday when I heard who it was. My first reaction was, wow, this is a good choice. Like this, because I had known from your Celtics experience that you were one of the most respected veterans. I mean, Doc Rivers, when they traded you to Washington, Doc Rivers went out of his way to talk about how you were one of the best people he'd ever coached, all this stuff. And, you're Stanford, you're obviously well-spoken, you're thoughtful about the whole experience, and just seemed like you were a good candidate to be this guy. But yeah, I know that wasn't the reason that this happened. It seemed like this is something that had been welling in you for years and years and years, which is what you tried to capture in what I thought was just an excellent Sports Illustrated piece.
Thank you. I have to give a lot of the credit to Franz, the writer. He, those are all my words, but he was able to, condense it and make it flow. And that's part of the reason why I went with Sports Illustrated. The writer, my agent Arn Tellem, has known the writer Franz longer than he's known his wife. They have a great working relationship. It's personal friendship, and that's sort of how this business is. It's it's relationship, work ethic, and that you can trust that person. And I wanted to be able to tell my story. I wanted to be able to, because once you make the statement, things are going to be written about you, said about you, that you can't control. But for right now, that first initial, impact, that story when it comes out, I wanted it to be in my own words, so that people can always go back to that.
Yeah.
And
it was very well constructed. It really was.
I really have to
there's a happiness to it, too, I felt like.
Yeah, and I was just, glad that they were able to get my humor in there, too. Because I really wanted, my heart and my humor, and because, sometimes, you being from Stanford, you can be labeled like, the intelligent guy. But, I wanted them to know that, there's a heart and there's a human being, behind the story.
Right. So the story comes out. What is your biggest fear yesterday morning after it comes out?
That, as I think any person, when they come out to anyone, is rejection. Is to be shunned. Which I didn't have that when I came out to all my friends and family. It was always support. It was always love. And but there are many people when they come out for that first time, it's not that way. So in the back of your mind, there are, the crazies out there, but, the naysayers, and then, obviously when you're talking about a subject matter such as this, it's controversial, and you're not going to have people who are going to agree, with me. And but that's the best part of America, is that we're all entitled to our opinions, beliefs, but at the end of the day, we have to respect each other. And this furthers that conversation about tolerance and acceptance and respect.
Did you hear what Barkley said last night? I thought he basically made that point.
Yeah.
He said, as an African American, we over anybody should know what the meaning of tolerance is.
Yeah.
And whether, it was weird. He said, or not weird, but he said that he felt people that maybe disagreed or felt differently about homosexuality or whatever, like those people shouldn't be crucified because it's America. But at the same time, people should be tolerant. And I thought it was a fair point. I mean, I was disappointed that some people, made some public comments that maybe should have been made yesterday, but you knew it was going to happen at the same time.
Yeah, that's going to happen. That's, it's part of America. And where, I might not, obviously I don't agree with some of the statements but at the same time I respect them. And I hope that they respect me at the end of the day. And if they want to have a dialogue, I'm more than willing to sit down and talk with them and try to educate them, because I look at things, going back to Stanford from a cerebral perspective. And to me, it's all about education. It's all about being introduced to new experiences and personalities, culture, people, just getting that, broadening your horizons, and trying to be able to put the shoe on the other foot and understand other, different people's perspectives, and so that when the conversation does take place, you walk away from it. They still might, may not agree, but they're like, you know what, I respect them. And, it leads to tolerance, it leads to understanding, it leads to acceptance.
I had 2 family members that came out in basically late 80s, early 90s when it was a much different time.
Yes.
I think it's easier to come out. I don't think it's ever easy.
No, yeah. I agree with that statement. That is,
right.
Yes.
But, I thought it was interesting.
Did you talk with them yesterday at all?
I talked to my uncle, actually, and he'd listened to a podcast that I'd done about this, and he thought that he just wanted to talk about a couple of the points in it, which he agreed with. But it made me think, like, it was after he came out. I don't think I realized until years later, like, how hard it was for him.
Yeah.
And just, I know it's easier now, but I don't think it's ever going to be totally easy. You're now a role model. And, you think you look at, like, the role models for this over the years, and I think Ellen is the most famous one and was probably had the most impact.
For me, it's Martina Navratilova.
Really?
Because I obviously love Ellen, but for me, it's always been in the realm. As a sports fit, I grew up as wanting to play sports, and for me, it was always my idols were professional athletes. So yes, Ellen was definitely a groundbreaker and a trailblazer, but for me, it was Martina Navratilova, and the way she lived her life honestly and just authentic and kicked butt. She was dominant, and just I always rooted for her.
And she came out yesterday. She probably had the most entertaining Twitter feed yesterday and was going all over the place with it. She was extremely happy about how you handled everything. It's funny you mention her because, I remember in the 80s when she would have in the family box, and they would always be like, there's her friend, Nancy Lieberman. And you knew it wasn't her friend, but it was such a different time. People were even afraid to whatever. And now, we've changed so much.
And that's,
in the last 25 years.
Yes.
I don't think, now I feel like if she was playing tennis now, they'd be like, that's her partner.
Yeah.
Then that would be it, and we wouldn't really think of it. But, you said she's a gay role model for you.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be a gay role model for, basically for this generation. Did that enter your thinking at all?
No. A little bit, but honestly, I was thinking about just trying to be honest with myself and with the general public, and coming out on my own terms and putting my story out there. Right. That was, but yes, I acknowledge that it has a greater impact on society at all. Overall, in that, there are going to be, kids who, I hope that this makes it easier for them. Like you say, it's never easy, but it gets easier. And I hope that one day, someone will make this announcement, and just like I was telling fellow Stanford alum a couple minutes ago, one of the producers here, Kim Belton, but you tell someone, he's like, okay, cool, and then on to the next thing. It's like, well, how's everything else going? And then it's just like, so. But for now, it's we're working slowly to get to that point.
I was talking to Wesley Morris, who writes a movie column for Grantland, the website I run, and we were talking about how it's basically baby steps, and this was another baby step, and it's just a series of these that head forward to a place where eventually, you want to get to the point where, as you said, people just, oh, all right.
Cool, yeah.
So what else is going on, And, like, how many years away do you think we are from that?
I don't know, but each step gets us a little bit closer. And your hope is, you hope that it happens in our lifetime. But you look over, the history of America, and that change happens slowly. But it takes people, doing And trust me, I was that person who was, waiting. I was at the point where I was ready, but, you're still looking around for other people to step up. And, I've always been that lead by example kind of guy where if something needs to be said, something needs to be done, I'm going to do it. And I think this is just another example of me, walking the walk, walking the tough walk. But it's cool to know that I'm not doing it alone.
In the story, you said you started thinking about it during the lockout.
Yes,
so that was
really
20 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, the impetus for me telling the first person I ever told, and then telling the second person, and then once I got that support, and you're able to be yourself around them or over the phone, and you don't have to, have half truths and lies and have the mask on. That you see that it's so much better and you feel so much better. So once you start to come out, then you're like, I don't want to continue this, but I still hadn't told my parents yet before I signed my next contract. And once I signed that contract, I knew that I was making a commitment to my team and to not say anything publicly.
So you were worried about detracting from the team a little bit.
Of course, you're always, and that's the kind of person, it's always about the team. It's always about the team success and winning ball games and not, making, not drawing eyeballs for unnecessary. But at the same time, I was making a statement to myself and to my family every time I put on my jersey. And because I think the significance of why I chose jersey number 98 in honor of Matthew Shepard and in honor of the Trevor Project, which happened in the year 1998.
But it's interesting, you didn't, people had asked you why you wore the jersey, and you didn't.
I gave a coy answer. I would always go, well, it's because, and then I would go into, it's because of the refs, fouls. Because I foul a lot and they had to mess with the refs.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of, I don't need, aside from this, one public declaration, just making that solemn statement to myself, to my friends, to my family, that was enough for me at that point during this. Every time I took the court in an NBA game, I was, making that statement to the people who, my family, those people who were most important in my life. And now my circle is getting bigger with all the support that I've received. And so it's really, been humbling.
So you couldn't have really said, I'm wearing this number for Matthew Shepard, because I think people would have read between the lines on that one.
Yeah, I think they would have,
So this year, the last couple months, there's been all kinds of rumors. I mean, it really started with the Super Bowl. The guy in the Niners who talked
Chris
about
Culver.
I could never have a gay teammate or whatever he said. And really from that point on, the story never seemed to go away. It was just kind of floating, and then there were rumors these 4 NFL players were going to come out. Then it was 1. Then the stuff happened with Kerry Rhodes, and all of a sudden there's photos and blog posts, and it just seemed like something was going to happen. Were you sitting there thinking, I hope somebody else comes out and then I'll be right behind them? Or were you thinking, I hope nobody comes out because I want to be the first one?
No, I definitely wasn't thinking that. No. And I had to do it on my own time. I knew I had to wait until the season was over before I sat down with Sports Illustrated, and so I had to do it on, in a way. And I really thank the people at Sports Illustrated for allowing me to do this in a way. Because anytime you're talking about a topic like this, allow me to keep my dignity, and allow me to feel comfortable, so I could really express myself, and put everything in that article that I was thinking and feeling and what I've been through, and so it's all there.
Right. Yeah. How much homophobia did you feel like was in the NBA locker rooms when you were playing, and did that affect your decision to wait?
No, that never. Look, the NBA locker room is like a sanctuary. It's what happens in the locker room, what's said in the locker room stays in. I'm sorry. What happens in the locker room stays in the locker room, and trust me, I've said plenty of stuff that I don't want the general public to know, because it's sort of like open mic night at a stand-up comedy club, and you just walk in and you say whatever. Like, you know, guy could come in with, you know, his shoes untied, and you just get on him for that. So it's, you know, it's stuff that, you know, you laugh so hard in the locker room, sometimes you actually cry because it's so funny. And everything that's, you know, said, done there, that stays there, and you don't even give it a second thought.
The NBA is almost like the most entertaining dysfunctional family ever, right? It's just every type of player and personality and everything you could ever imagine.
I remember Ed Tapscott from the Wizards. I think he'd be comfortable with me saying that the thing that's he's enjoyed the most are the stories, like the stories that you have and you keep with you, and they, like I say, you just go back to and you just laugh about. And it's great that I have a twin brother who's experienced. He's played 10 years in the league, and you know, we could laugh and joke about so many, you know, great stories, and then also talk trash about who played with a better point guard, me, Jason Kidd, him, John Stockton. You know, it's great to have someone to share those experiences with.
And you said your brother didn't know until the last couple of years, right?
No, I told him actually late this past summer, and he had no idea.
He had no idea.
Yeah, my twin brother. Yeah, that's so much for telepathy. Yeah, twin telepathy. Yeah.
But you guys are on different teams that whole time, so it's not like.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, but at the same time, in the summertime, we hang out and just about every single day, and we talk to each other multiple times a day. And he's my best friend, and he's been incredibly supportive. So much now so that he's almost too protective of me. But he's been great.
Do you guys have a feud with the Lopez brothers or no?
Yeah,
Is it like a twin thing? Is it twin
and
bad
also the Bryan twins from Stanford too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot those guys.
Yeah,
and now these Kentucky twins. They're this backcourt.
I hear there's some athletes to watch, and they're great basketball players. Yeah.
The twin thing. It's always amazing to me when two twins can make it.
Yeah.
Because you would think like
the Morris twins, and now they're playing on the
the Van Arsdales. I think there's been like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
8 or 9 pair. But you guys, the thing that was interesting about your careers was you had very similar games, or like functions for the teams.
Yeah. So when we actually played on the same team, I was the center, the enforcer, the guy that, you know, if there's a problem, you know, bring them to me, I'll take care of it. And Jaren was more of the perimeter point forward. He could dribble the ball a lot better than I could. And then when we got to the pros, you know, Jaren had to, you know, be the center, but he wasn't used to that. So it took him a little while to get that adjustment. And then he got the art of flopping down to a science.
Better than you?
Better than me. Sorry, Jaren. But he was a master at it, like especially against Shaq. And I think also there was one time I think he flopped on Danny Fortson like so bad that I think Danny was ready to go after him.
Yeah, he's a little nuts. I wouldn't mess with Danny.
Yeah, so Jared was, but that absolutely has nothing to do with sexual orientation. That just has to do with your ability to play basketball and, you know, use your mind out there on the court. And
I thought you made that point in the piece. I thought that was interesting that you said you did not fit the stereotype because you were such an aggressive player, and if anything, you were most aggressive, hard foul picks, all that kind of stuff.
There's nothing better than when you set a blindside legal pick on somebody. And it's like a decleat moment in football. Yeah. It's like our equivalent in basketball, and on offense, there's no greater joy for me when I get to and get my teammate open and say it was setting a flare pick for Paul Pierce earlier in the season, or even, you know, later in the season for Martell Webster.
Yeah.
And Rondo comes down and kicks it to him, gets a 3, or John Wall comes down and kicks it to Martell and he gets a 3. It's awesome.
When you played with KG, were you jealous about the fact that he gets to move on every pick?
No, I actually learned a little bit. Yeah, you're never too old to learn. And I actually learned so much so that in my last game against Chicago, I set a KG-style pick on Kirk Heinrich, and the refs didn't call it.
Oh, wow.
And Tom Thibodeau and someone, I think it was AJ Price, came off and hit a jumper. John Wall came in, and then he scored. And then Thibodeau called a timeout, and then he was yelling at the refs, "Hey, that's an illegal pick. That's an illegal screen." Back of my mind, I'm like, thanks, Ticket. Show me how to set a nice a legal pick.
I think he's past the 2,000 career mark of those. Did you talk to your brother last night?
Yeah, I talked to him all throughout the day yesterday.
What was his day like?
His day, similar to mine, where the cell phone's blowing up, and I saw him again this morning. We actually worked out together this morning, and I'm trying to get back into my routine. Got a great workout in because yesterday I was a little busy. Yeah. But today got a great workout in, and Jaron was there. And, it's just crazy. Anytime you get a call and someone says, "Please hold for the president," it's real. It's pretty crazy.
And then another call saying, "Please hold for the president."
Yeah, please hold for the
Clinton
president.
Because Clinton called you too, right?
Yeah, Clinton, yes. And, it's just, it's overwhelming, all the support.
Who is other than any president, who was the most surprising person you heard from yesterday?
Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was obviously really cool. And, I'm a huge fan of hers, but even bigger fans are my mom and my aunt. They absolutely love Oprah, and so that was really cool. And most surprising NBA player you heard from?
Tim Hardaway, our former NBA player, Tim Hardaway.
Interesting.
Tim Hardaway called me and offered his support and congratulations, and
that's somebody that's come around in a lot of different ways.
He was great, and I really appreciate the call. And and then you have calls from my former teammate Kirk Heinrich. I just got off the phone with him, and I don't know, there's something going on where something he said was taken out of context, and and he called to say, "Jason, I know the kind of person you are, kind of teammate you are, and it doesn't matter to me that you're gay, and but something that was said has been written that's been, and
spun the wrong way.
Yeah, the wrong way. And, I told him, don't worry about it. I know, me, we were teammates in Atlanta. Heck, we played golf together after practice one day. So I told him, don't even worry about it.
Do you feel like this has now opened the door, in that maybe other people out there didn't have the strength to be the first one, but have the strength to be second, third, fourth, seventh, whatever?
I hope so. I hope that each person makes a decision. This goes across the board to anyone, gay, straight, that you make choices in your life that make you happy, truly happy, and allow you to live an honest and genuine life, whatever that may be. That's regardless of, whatever that is. And know that as long as you're happy, I'm here to support you. And it doesn't matter what happens off the court in your private life. That's your private life. That's your business. And as long as you're ready when you come to the gym to win some ball games, work hard, I'll be right there with you, showing you, what hard work and working hard is, what it's all about, and winning ball games. That's what is most important. I think that's what all my teammates are trying to get across, that, that's the most important thing, is being a good teammate.
The dumbest thing I've heard, or at least the dumbest thing that wasn't like truly dumb, but the dumbest theory I've heard about you coming out when you did was that you're a free agent this summer. Now it will be hard for the league not to have you in it. I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong in thinking you had like 2, 3, 4 more years left? Like, the teams are always going to need somebody like you.
Yeah, and I remember when I got traded to the Wizards, Ernie Grunfeld, the GM there, said that, he had Herb Williams, and Herb played till he was 41, 40-something, and just because he's that solid locker room guy, and that when his name and number is called, he's going to be ready, but the rest of the time, he's going to show the younger guys in the locker room what it means to be truly a pro's pro. And that's what I've been called, my whole career is, and especially later, stages is that I'm a pro's pro. I work hard. I really, dedicate myself to the sport that I love, basketball. And I still feel that, I can still contribute in a positive way to help a team win ball games.
So I think Juwan Howard is the oldest pros pro right now.
Yeah, he is definitely a pros pro.
Isn't he like 40?
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge fan of his. Just keep going. keep going.
They love having him around so much, they just throw a uniform on him. I don't even know if he can walk anymore. They're just trotting him out there.
He can still shoot that jump hook, I'm sure, and shoot that 50-foot face up.
So that's your role model. You can play to 40 like Juwan.
Keep it going. Why not?
Who else is like that?
Oh, jeez. I played with Cliff Robinson.
He had an extra 4 years.
Yeah, he just kept. No, Cliff had the 3-ball, so maybe I have to start working on that this offseason because Cliff could shoot the 3-ball. But other than that, no, Cliff was. And I actually learned a lot about low post defense from him. I remember there was a time when we played against Shaq in Miami, and he called when Shaq, gave me that shoulder, and then the second shoulder, like he called that one the spine tingler. Right. But I learned a lot from him about how to play position defense. And I've learned so much from so many players, Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, Cliff Robinson, over the years about how to be a solid low-post defender. Now, Cliff was never a shot blocker, right. But obviously Alonzo and Dikembe were, so I had to lean more towards the Cliff Robinson side of position basketball.
And the value, and this is the same reason why Kendrick Perkins is making $9 million a year right now. There's only a couple guys in the league who can handle somebody one-on-one of the likes of Duncan, Dwight when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to double team him, and that's the reason the Celtics were able to beat Orlando in 2010. Yeah. Because of Perkins' one-on-one defense. You guys beat in Atlanta. You beat Dwight in 2011. Same thing. Yeah. So I feel like as long as you have that skill and Dwight's in the league,
basically, yes. My off-season planning is how to stop Dwight Howard, how to make life miserable for Dwight Howard. And,
you should be a little wounded. Oklahoma City hasn't reached out for you. Or maybe Perkins.
Perk has that position locked out. Perk's obviously a tremendous defender, and once you get that reputation for being the physical defender, the refs give you even a little bit more leeway, and he's able to go out there and really set the tone. And it's great to watch. I love watching. I'm obviously a fan of the sport, and being a defensive player, watching great defenses. And it's always anchored from the guards, keeping the ball in front of them.
Yep.
Don't get beat off the dribble. Or if you do, funnel it to where the help's supposed to be. And then also the big men being solid low-post defenders, and then also being great team defenders. So it's always, fun to watch. Great defenses. Now, from a fan's perspective, they might not like, they might like the score to be like, Denver Golden State, but from a defensive guy, I like it when it's like 90 to 80 something, and it's a battle, it's a war.
Right, and the defenses have gotten so much more sophisticated the last few years. I think right now the Bulls are playing the Nets. I actually think that game's tonight, so the series might already be over or maybe it's tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow. They just played last night. Yeah.
What they've done to the Nets, they have no Derrick Rose. They have Noah, who's 50% of what he is because of his feet. Yeah. And defensively, they're just so smart and so shrewd.
Yeah, Thibodeau he's a mastermind defensively, and the key thing about that is having trust and everybody being on the same page. That's the key to defense. Is everybody has to know the game plan, be on the same page, and having that trust that if there's a breakdown, don't worry, someone's going to have your back. And it's fun to watch. Yeah, Chicago's and. Chicago.
So it seems like you want to play for the Bulls. Maybe they're on the list.
They're on the short list. They're on the short list, but they're doing a great job. They already have a great, backup center in Nazr Mohammed. Nazr Mohammed, tip my cap to him because when they had all those injuries,
he had a big basket in Game 4.
He just stepped up, and that's my role. That player like that, that's my role. And Nazr's been in the league 13, 14 years. And, that guy that, you can put in a situation and you can trust. The teammates have that trust in him that he's going to be ready. And and Ozzie is, he's shown that, this whole season when Noah went down and then Gibson had injuries.
Yeah.
So.
And I think he's, class of 97? And he's been around longer than you have.
His team beat us in the Final Four.
Yeah.
His Kentucky team. Yeah, they won the championship my freshman year.
You talked about, in the piece, 3 degrees of Jason Collins, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Who's the best player you played with?
Jason Kidd.
I figured.
Yeah. Rajon Rondo is obviously a great point guard too. But anytime and I've played with other great point guards along the way. I've played for 6 teams, so lots of great point guards. But Jason Kidd, first ballot Hall of Famer. I remember a playoff series. I think he averaged a triple-double.
Yeah.
And anytime you play with a great point guard, the Rondos or the Jason Kidds of this world, they make you look so much better than you really are. And it's you just catch the ball and score. It's pretty simple. They'll put you in a position and they'll make the adjustment. And now it's John Wall. This past, towards the end.
You caught John Wall, and you should take credit for that.
Yeah, John Wall his
career took off.
His career took off. Yeah, after sure.
The pros pro.
Yeah, the pros pro was there saying, it's okay. Just do your thing. Be more aggressive. Yeah, because he. I think Sam Cassell and John Wall should get a lot of credit for that one. But
what's your best KG story?
So many.
Let me rephrase. What's the best KG story you can tell?
Yeah, just his intensity, like nonstop. Like he could be telling you about the weather, and he will break out in a full sweat. Like you think that it's raining outside, but no, it's clear skies and it's sunny. But his intensity is just. It's nonstop, and it's infectious. Just it makes you work even harder, and makes you want to show up even earlier to practice, because that this guy is sacrificing his body. He plays through so much, behind the scenes. He puts himself out there emotionally and physically, and he's a pro's pro.
You don't think he'll retire at the end of this year, do you?
You got to ask him that. I hope not.
Could you see him shutting that switch off?
I hope not. No, he's going to be that way to the end of his days. He's going to be going hard. He'll be going hard in the nursing home. So he's, although I think he won't ever be in a nursing home, but he's the amount of money he's making.
Yeah, he'll own the nursing home.
Yeah, he'll have the suite. But his intensity is, really inspiring. I think if he ever chooses to be an assistant coach, I don't know if he has that. He doesn't. Obviously, he doesn't. He can do whatever he does
TV.
That would be great too.
TV would be funny for him.
He would be awesome with.
Charles, those guys. Yeah. They need a 7-second delay for him.
They might in the beginning. He'll make the adjustment but he will be. Yeah, he'll be great.
It seemed like you had a special relationship with Doc Rivers. He came out yesterday and said some great things about you, and he, even when they traded you, he was talking about how you were one of the most special people he's coached. Is that the best coach you've played for?
I've played for a lot of great coaches.
That's a political answer.
Doc. There's a special place in my heart for Doc Rivers. There's definitely just the way he always talks about the team, and me being a team guy, it just really spoke to my heart. And then not only the team, but it's a family, and he had that that one saying that just stuck with me is like, you want to go quickly, go by yourself. You want to go farther, you gotta.
Go with the pack.
Go in a group. And it's just, comments like that just really, as someone like me, like a team guy who sacrifices so much, and, I appreciate, his professionalism. And, I hadn't played in, a long stretch of games. And he's like, Jason, come in my office before one of the road games. And it's like, Jason, I want you to know that, we see you working hard in the training room. And when your opportunity comes, just be ready. And I'm like, And I'm like, Doc, you don't even have to have that conversation with me. I appreciate that you show me that professional courtesy, that respect of, having that conversation with me, but you don't have to have that conversation with me because, I'll be, I'm already,
right.
Yeah, I'm already there with you. And it's just, and he's, he really is an amazing leader. And, KG and Paul can speak more to, because the kind of just person, leader, coach that he is.
So next year, if you play, I would think, well, one part would be every city you go to, you're getting dressed before the game. Everybody's going to come up, and the local people are going to have to do their, hey, Jason Collins is in town. That story. You're going to have to do that probably 40 times. Have you thought about that?
No, I think after a while they'll get old. It'll get over. It'll get old, and people will move on, and hopefully.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Probably maybe by December.
Yeah, and it'll just there'll be something else that comes up. Some other story in the league.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like I said before, that it'll make it easier for the next person if they too want to raise their hand in the room.
Have you thought about hecklers during the game? Because I've heard some pretty bad things.
I've already been booed.
Right.
And trust me, there's sometimes I want to boo myself. So you already know how to, phase that out. As a professional athlete, you get used to, making that, white noise in the background.
Right.
So that comes with just being professional. But when you win, they'll cheer you. When you lose, they'll boo you, and that's the nature of the beast.
Where was the loudest you got booed? Was that there in some of the words against Shaq?
Probably at the end of a game in New Jersey when I gave up a 4-point play to let the other team win the game.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was, and trust me, that definitely falls into the category of me wanting to boo myself. So that was probably the dumbest thing I've done on a court. But that was obviously early on in my NBA career. A young person being a little too overzealous. Be over to make a play, to try to block a shot, and those things happen. You learn from them, and you move on, and you develop thicker skin. And now it's like I say, you can reduce it to white noise in the background.
Do you have any plans? I know you're preparing. It sounds like you're already preparing for next season, staying in shape, playing every day.
Definitely.
Do you have plans to do anything like a book?
No.
Or
I'm
documentary? None of that stuff, right?
Not at this time. No, I'm not. I'm definitely not a book person.
Right.
Recently, Robbie Rogers asked if I could take part in doing a segment for some documentary that's I think being produced by Steve Nash or something along those lines. So, I might, sit down and do an interview, but no, it's not going to be the Jason Collins story. I know that because I'm not a Kardashian. No disrespect to the Kardashian family. They're everywhere. And, but yeah, there's no cameras following me around.
So no cameras, no book.
No.
Like I said, so this week will be over and that'll be it. You just go back to basketball.
Yeah. This week and then that, and then probably this week, next week, and then back to basketball, back to your life. And like I said, I was more than happy last year making that statement to myself and to my family and my friends by putting on jersey 98, and that was all I needed to do that time. So I know how to make solemn statements to the people who are, in my heart, most important to me.
Well, it's interesting. Normally when people come out, they come out and there's this huge burden that they feel is lifted because they come out to their friends and family and they feel like they were living this lie or all these different components to it. But when you're a public figure and you come out, it's almost like a 2-stage process.
Yeah.
And this is the second part of the stage.
Yeah.
What is the difference between this stage and the first stage?
Is that there's still obviously anxiety before having the conversation with every family member and friend, but there's that anticipation that they're gonna love me and support me still afterwards, and obviously they did and they have. But when you're going to people to the general public, they don't know necessarily my heart, my character, my personality. So there might be less of an inclination to be supportive. Yeah. And but that being said, the support has been overwhelming and substantial. And we talked about all the people who have called, and so many teammates and coaches and training staff. I just talked to this morning an assistant coach with the Hawks, Bob Bender, trainer Pete Williams, and then Josh Schmidt. They were passing the phone around in the training room and all congratulating me.
That's
and
cool.
Talking to me and said, and just saying that it takes guts to do what I did, but I don't even look at it that way. I look at it as me just trying to be honest and be the person that I've always been as far as my character, and where, if there's something that needs to be done, I'm going to be the one to step up and show it. And I think that speaks volumes to my parents, the way I was raised, and also to moving forward in my basketball career, that GMs, coaches know that, I will stand on principle and I will be that example in the locker room that will, work hard and say what needs to be said when it's need to be said. But more importantly, that, I'll walk that walk, I'll back it up.
Wesley and I, a couple weeks ago, did a podcast about 42, the Jackie Robinson movie. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about, it was basically the Disney-fied version of what happened in 1947 with Jackie. And we were saying that the much more interesting movie would be about what it would be like for the first gay team sports athlete to come out that first year. I mean, he wouldn't face, I don't think, anything close to what happened to Jackie. But at the same time, a journey that, for I think this generation of people would be easier to identify with. Almost, because you watch that stuff from 1947, you're like, what? Oh my God, this, it's even hard to relate to it. This is a little different, but I'm getting the feeling just from the reaction the last 2 days, even though there were a couple knuckleheads, I don't even think it might not even be that interesting of a movie. I mean, maybe the ideal way this plays out is just, this is it. You're cranking it out. You play 2-3 more years. And that's it. But my question is, let's say this was a much higher profile athlete. Yeah. Let's say this is somebody who was an all-star. Yeah. Do you think this is tougher for that person than it would be for you, who's, as you say, the perfect role player, team guy, lower profile guy?
I'm sure. Obviously, each situation is different, but I think the support will be there. It'll be overwhelming just for him. If he were an all-star, and it goes back to making a decision for that person to make a decision that's going to lead to them living an honest, genuine life, which in turn will lead to them being happy.
Yeah,
truly happy. I know what it's like to have that weight, to live that lie, to put on that mask. And I can truly tell you that it's so much better once you just let it go. You don't have to carry that around, and you don't have to have that burden. It's unnecessary. You're putting yourself through mental torture but and know that there are going to be teammates, coaches, people there to support you.
Well, you said something interesting. I'm putting your words in your mouth, but you said basically, this was the right time for you. Your 33 years led to this moment. You made it seem like this couldn't have happened when you were 28. This couldn't have happened when you were 30.
Yeah, I wasn't mentally there. I wasn't comfortable enough in my own skin.
Yeah.
If you'd asked me 5 years ago if I were gay, I would have flat out lied to you and denied it.
Would you have been lying to yourself or just lying to me?
I think that's for psychology. But yeah, I'd have been lying to I would have been lying to you and myself.
Because at one point you were engaged.
Yes. Yeah.
What year was that?
That was called off the engagement in 2009.
Yeah.
So I would have been definitely lying to myself. I describe it as knowing that the sky is blue, but telling yourself that it's red.
Yeah.
And just living that lie. It's like total, illogic. There's no logic there. It's totally illogical, but psychologically speaking, it made sense at the time, and I'm sure there are some people who want to, delve deeper into that, but it's.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly, and it takes time. I call it like you're baking in the oven, and when you're ready, and you see that you're ready, and you're ready to come out, and you're comfortable in your own skin. You're ready.
Well, it's also it's very easy to fool people with a couple things, and you could just mention some girl you're dating back here, and some girl, I'm meeting this girl tonight, and that's it, and nobody's going to think otherwise.
You have your cover story down, and you get used to telling the lie so much that you get good at it. But it's when you go home at the end of the day, and it's a lie, and you're not sleeping well, and because you know that you're telling yourself that the sky is red when in reality it isn't. You know it deep down, but you're just not ready to accept it.
Yeah.
And but once you let that go and truly embrace and have pride in everything that you are, it leads to happiness.
So it sounds like you hit that point during the lockout for whatever reason.
Yeah, I hit that point during the lockout, right after the holidays. I think most single people can attest to the fact that the holidays are the toughest time for them. And even though I was with family, you're still reminded that you don't really. You're with your family, but you don't have that special someone to share it with. And so I came out, to the first person right after Thanksgiving of the lockout, and then a couple of days later to my aunt, and then the ball just keeps rolling.
Your aunt said she always knew, right?
Yeah. She's a judge, and she's very good at reading people.
Yeah.
And so she always kind of had a sense, but obviously she never said anything because she knew that it's something that someone has to come forward. You don't want to ever push someone out of the closet, because if they're not ready, they're not ready, and it takes time to get to that point. And when someone does take that brave first step, and when they do get that encouragement, that support, that the sky isn't going to fall, that everything's okay, you're still the same you, mannerisms, whatever, it's you, and it starts to allow you to be comfortable, take the mask off, and really be comfortable in your own skin.
Are you dating anybody right now?
No, I'm single right now.
Did you think about, it's going to change on that front for you too?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Now you're like one of the biggest gay celebrities. Now you have to watch out for all these people who aren't interested in you for the right reasons.
Yeah. Well, that's just like any other professional athlete.
Yeah, I guess.
So just
and you said you're gonna do the walk in Boston, I think. Is it in Boston on June 8th?
Yeah. Walk with my old roommate, Joe
Kennedy. Yeah.
So I'll be walking June 8th, and so that'll be cool. Yeah.
How did you end up rooming with a Kennedy?
Friends of a friend. We all rushed the same fraternity, KA at Stanford. It was the same fraternity house, and there was a bunch of us, and just by happenstance we became roommates. And
you were friends with Chelsea Clinton.
Yeah, Chelsea Clinton.
So 3 degrees of Jason Collins extends to all walks of life. Apparently.
Yeah, seriously. And Jason Segel was my backup center.
It's another one. Yeah. And he's been in like 20 movies.
He's been a lot. He's doing well for himself. Yeah, he.
Wow.
Yeah. He actually won a dunk contest in high school, if you can believe it. Yeah, he could actually jump back in the day. Siegs, I got your back on that. I'm the witness, testifying to your athleticism.
What kind of game did he have?
He hustled. He definitely,
So like a Mark Madsen type game?
Yeah, like a low budget Mark Madsen. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But he low budget.
A homeless man's Mark Madsen.
Oh gosh.
Not even a poor man's Mark Madsen.
Yeah, but he knew how to entertain the crowd, and you know what? He hustled, and that's all. He's a great teammate.
Wait a second. How did he know how to entertain the crowd?
Well, in the dunk contest that he
and in the layup lines.
In the layup line, and people aren't expecting. You see this guy, sort of gangly, 6'4" kid. White guy from Harvard Westlake.
Yeah.
And he goes out there and is doing all kinds of dunks. And although now...
That's insane. I can't believe
now
this.
if you look at him, you think he's going to pull like 5 muscles if he goes up to try to dunk a basketball. But especially they're talking about things that you wish you could unsee. If I don't know if you everybody saw that movie, Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. He had like a 2-minute nude scene in there.
God.
But you'd probably already seen that in high school, though.
Yeah, that guy. Oh, gosh.
Did you Did you know in high school that he was going to be famous?
I knew. He's super talented.
Yeah.
He's like I said, he was doing acting. I didn't say it, but he was doing some acting in high school. And, and he's incredibly smart and funny. And one of the funniest guys. And that's the best thing about the NBA. Is like when you're teammates with someone, you get to laugh, joke, and hang around. And they're some of the funniest guys in the NBA. Like I got a text message from one of my favorite team. I have so many favorite team, best team, but one of the funniest is Brian Cardinal.
Oh yeah,
he is so sarcastic and so funny, and he was great. And
so who's in that circle?
Richard Jefferson, funny guy. He's cracking jokes. He said too soon type jokes. And, so it's great. And that's what it goes back to. That's what it's about. It's about
being
a person, being a human,
relationships.
And
who was the funniest Celtic?
Funniest Celtic?
I'm asking that just because I'm a Celtics fan, not because it's a good question for you.
Oh gosh.
I would imagine KG was the funniest Celtic.
Oh, he was so serious.
But wasn't that
no,
what was
but
funny?
That was it's like, all right, is KG gone? Okay. Now did you see what he was doing? No, I'm just kidding. Happens in the locker room, stays in the locker room. Not talking about that, but no, he's cool. Funniest one, Rondo's up there. Rondo's funny.
Did you get a handle on Rondo after 5 months? Everybody says he's like kind of like a genius.
Yeah,
there's some sort of weird IQ thing going on with him.
Connect Four.
Yeah. He's like a Connect Four genius.
We played Connect Four at I think it was the Christmas holiday party that the Celtics do for underprivileged children, and they have board games that you play with the kids. And Rondo was holding down fort at one table, and I was at another table, and I was like, hey, let me see what all the talk is about. And I could not beat him.
Really?
He's
like a savant. He's like a Connect Four savant.
And then also, sometimes during practice, Doc would let the players draw up the plays because he wants to see, guys thinking.
Yeah.
And Rondo would draw up some great plays. And
really?
Yeah. I really gained an appreciation for his court awareness on both ends of the court, offensive, defensive, and the way he thinks the game. And along those same lines is John Wall. And,
John Wall?
Yes.
Never would have guessed that.
Yeah, exactly. But he really thinks the game. And he's, for a young player to already, start to develop that sense of your awareness on the court and being able to anticipate where different players are going to be. And, he really impressed me with his court awareness.
So you like the John Wall Bradley Beal combo? Because I love Bradley Beal.
Yeah. And it's
too bad he got hurt because he was just coming on.
Yeah. And a lot of that I think is just, your body might not be used to playing so many games and stuff like that. So, but he's going to be, they're going to be a tremendous backcourt going forward. Because I remember that with Jason Kidd was finding someone, or we had Kerry Kittles because Jay Kidd and John Wall are similar in that they push the ball up the court so fast. You got to have somebody who, and big men aren't going to be,
get there in time.
Yeah, get there. But Bradley can run with him.
Yeah.
So it's fun to watch. And then, you don't want to leave him open. He can shoot the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
When you also played with Okafor on that team, who is considered one of the league's most cerebral players. Did you guys have like a cerebral off? Just cerebral? Was there a cerebral World Series?
No. We didn't have a book club or anything like that. No.
Talking about Malcolm Gladwell books.
No, we were actually talking about. I think he was getting recruited to Stanford, and something happened where he was like, "No, I'm not going to go there." And I was like, "Man, we would have."
Oh my God!
Yeah, that'd
have
been awesome.
Loaded.
Yeah, but Emeka he's a great team leader, great locker room guy.
That's why they traded for him.
Yeah, he's another guy that isn't afraid to say what needs to be said in the locker room, and also lead by example. And but the Washington Wizards, I really enjoyed my time in DC. Great group of guys, and great organization, and great city. There's a lot of stuff to do in DC.
That's a team that really made an effort to change its culture too, because they
needed to make
incidents,
a change.
And they get Okafor, they get you, it seems like they're heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
So what happens the rest of your week?
Tonight, I think I'm going on with Kenny and Chuck and those guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think I'm doing that with the TNT guys tonight.
Excellent.
So I got to be careful, though, because I feel like, I'm a casual swearer normally.
Yeah. So, you didn't swear on this podcast.
I haven't sweared so far. So, but the way those guys are, get to laughing and joking. Next thing you know, here comes the censor button.
Right.
Okay, but no, he's that's going to be fun. And I just, it's...
And then eventually just back to the grind.
Yeah, and like I said today, I got a great workout in, and already getting back into my routine of, working hard in the summertime, so that come whenever the first day of training camp is, I'm ready to play.
All right. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the time.
No
look forward to see what team you end up with next year. Be rooting for you.
Thank you.
Congrats on everything.
Thank you very much.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at PodCenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.